Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today we are only going to talk about the case management in PEGA, which consists of we are going to create a new application, and these are the PEGA related terms that we will see because these are required in creation of this application. Like what is the rule, what is the rule type, what kind of validations we have, and we will design a case lifecycle and we will add the stages, processes and steps. And we will also configure some class and class group, and we will try to add some instruction to an assignment. We will see what is an instruction, what is an assignment, and how can we update the case status, and how can we configure the child case for a parent case type. This is our today's agenda, and we will try to cover as we can. If nothing is, if we are not able to complete today, we can wrap it up tomorrow. Let's start with application only. Yesterday we discussed, right? We have to purchase a base product from the PEGA. After that, if we don't want to build something from the scratch, we can go for some frameworks. On top of that, we can build our application. Base application we are already using, that is the cloud version. That is the community edition we can use from the PEGA. After that, next thing that we have to see is what kind of application we need to create. Either we create a framework application or we can create an implementation application. Now, what is the difference between both of them? Framework. I mean, we can understand it through the name itself that it is a framework which can hold the reusable codes. And implementation is it contain the code for each application, and it can either be built on the base product or the framework. If you remember this chart yesterday, this one, this is a kind of our framework that we can create. Our implementation is this one. Both what we can do as per the business requirement. Suppose if we are developing something for the first time for a company, then framework is a better option. Because the reusable parts, the reusable configurations. For example, let's suppose there is Active Directory which existed across. The application is same, right? Those things we can either maintain at the framework layer and the organization layer because those will not change. And if they will change for everyone, for all the applications which is having at the top layer. Same way, with this logic itself, we are going to create an application. Now, this is the application which we are going to create, that is a life care insurance. Let's suppose we have an organization that is life care insurance, which has a claims department. For claims only, we are going to create an application. Right. Let's jump on to by the content. I will switch to the Dev Studio. We can create application either from App Studio, Dev Studio. Both are same. We will go to application. You have to remember these and navigations, like in order to create the application where we have to head. Now we can click on New Application. This is the first game where it is asking what type of application do you want to build. Suppose if you could have implemented or added some frameworks, it can provide us those options also. But no framework is there because it is a free version. It is giving us an option that you want to build from scratch. We will select this Continue. Now the UI architecture. PEGA supports these two UI, traditional UI and the Constellation. The one is a reactors based. Another one is a combination of everything, all the UI changes. We will go with the traditional UI. Now it is asking for naming your application. It is like the same thing when we create a project in Android Studio or any other IDE. Now, if we create an application, we will select the PEGA. If we click on this, Create Application, PEGA will directly create it. But we want to see some advanced configurations also. There it is asking what kind of application structure we want to create, framework or implementation. If someone will understand the meaning for both of them, then only they will be able to decide. Because the application form will happen for the first time. And usually this is created by a lead system architect. Because once the application is created and people start building on it, it has never changed. We can't update it. There is no rollback for this one. For now, we are going to create an implementation application. Application ID, we can say Life Care App. Because first time we are creating this, we will keep the version as 0101. This is the initial version. Let's say my organization is. I will give something like what we can do. L or K app. Care app. Care app is our organization. Division. We are going to create claims. We don't have any unit. But if I want to explain you something about unit, for example, let's say HR is a department, right? Is it a division? Or we have the onboarding, right? We have some, you can say, payroll. What are the departments comes under? The HR will be the unit names. But for now, we are not creating any unit. This is our organization structure. Now the class layer. How many classes we need? We will have one organization class. We have one application class. And this is a by default class which will be added irrespective of your any change. PEGA adds it every time. We will see why it is added and what is the use of this one. I'll save this one. Let's click on Create Application. By the time it is getting created, I want to show you this part. Whenever an application is created, there are certain things which is created by default. For example, a source code. Right. Different kinds of sources were created. For example, rule sets are created. We'll see what rule sets is. An enterprise class layer is created. Some organization instances got created. And a product rule got created. Right? What is a rule set? Rule set is used to hold the rules. And it also helps to package the rules. Rules is nothing but a source code. For example, in Java, we have to use methods. We need to use classes. And we call that as a source code. In PEGA, we call source code as rules. Everything is a rule. If you see a text, that is a rule. If you see a UI piece, that is a rule. That's why we have to save those rules or source code somewhere. That in future we can package it. And we can also move it to the higher environments. And we can save those source code into the rule sets. That's why we are saying rule set is used to hold the rules. And it also helps to package the rules. Next is rule set comes under an application. Whenever we create an application, rule set will be created by default. Therefore, PEGA by default create these two rule sets. Application rule set and organization rule set. We will find two care rule set and two life care rule set. Even if you create any other application, PEGA will again create two rule sets only. That also. We will see why we are only creating two rule sets, not three, not one. This is the class structure. For example, because we have selected organization layer and the application layer, there will be two classes. One is data class. Other one is int class under the organization level. And we will have work dash, data dash, int dash under the application layer. Now data dash, like we can understand through the name itself, that this is going to hold the system of record or the organization level data. For example, logo policies, active directories, user detail, employee detail, the policy detail or whatever the product we are maintaining, that will not change across the applications. That will come under the organization class data class. Int class contain the integration details. Suppose I am using a third-party system to fetch the policy details. Right. Suppose because I am insurance company, right? I am issuing some term insurance. The term insurance is maintained by some third party. If I need to get the status of that policy, I need to configure integration in PEGA and the third-party system. All the rules, all the source code which I will create for this integration, I'll keep it in the organization class. Because for the reusability. Because those integration will not change. Whatever is the base that we have to create inside the organization layer only. And let's say application class layer now. For example, the form which we are showing to the user to enter the details. That will change in future. Suppose for now they're asking to give only first name, middle name and last name. But in future they might ask, I don't want middle name, just remove it. If we put it in the organization layer and if we remove that middle name from organization layer, it will impact everything. It will impact all the applications. Right now we have only one application, but in future we can add multiple applications. Right. As we have seen this one, we can add multiple implementation layers. For now, we are only adding one. Because we are adding the integration, the policies, the logo and everything on this organization layer. This one. Any implementation built on this thing will use the same thing. We can say all the application related rules we are going to create on the application layers. Workday tent, and all the organization related rules which will not change, those will create in the organization layer. Along with that, when we create a new application, PEGA create organization instance which contain organization division and unit instances. And this is the product rule. This is a by default product rule which is provided by PEGA, which we can use to export the application and move it to the higher environment. This is the first screen of my application which we just now created, which says LiveCare. Here itself, you can see LiveCare is coming. It is a development environment which version we are using. And currently we don't have any personnel because currently I am the only one logging right. There is only one user person. Channel. These are the default channel that PEGA provides the user portal which we are using for now. Then mobile application and some default APIs. No case type is there, no data type, no data object is there. All these are empty. This is a kind of a sample application. Now we will quickly see the things which PEGA creates. Now we can go to configure. Application development reset action. In the recent actions you can see what are the updates happened in the recent times. For example, you see about a minute ago, one rule name is created. LiveCare application. 8 minutes ago, LiveCare app. These are the rule set types and these are the rule name and these are the rule set. These are the multiple rule types that PEGA accepts. Access rule name application class, persona, product routing table, rule set version and skin. And these are the rules which PEGA creates by default. The classes, integration classes, where we will save our integration rules, data classes. Right. All these are the stuff PEGA creates by default. This will save the time. Now we can go to this configure definition. This is our empty project here. You can say for now, like an Android show do. This is our application definition. We call this form as application definition form. This form contains many tabs like definition, case and data application with documentation, integration, security. Now you see built on application. For now, whatever you see, the colors, the UI, everything is coming from this thing. Themis Cosmos. This is the built on application. That means when we purchase the license from PEGA, PEGA used to provide a built on application, like a base product. This is the base product. After that, we have section called enabled components. Now, components are nothing but small application that we can use for certain features. For example, let's say for integration only. Have you heard about Jira? Let's suppose the PEGA wants to connect with Jira for the stories. What we can do is we can create a component from Jira itself and we can add a component. Whatever the configuration is that directly we can use from here. We don't have to build it separately because Jira board is already there. We can directly develop a component module. That's it. And we can add it. Whatever the features we have in the Jira, we can use it on the PEGA application. Then we have the presentation, which is a skin rule. Skin rule decides what kind of colors, what kind of design, what kind of CSS class we are going to show. If I open this one, everywhere you will find only those things. First is the things which are coming through the product, like the base application. And second, the options where you can add your rules. For example, you see these are my formats. This is empty because this is first time I'm creating this application. That's what it is showing. There are no custom formats for this component yet. But if I go to inheritance, you see this is inherited from the Cosmos skin. And if I enable the Cosmos skin, now Cosmos skin is nothing but again the default provided skin root product. You see, many things are already there. Because these are things that PEGA provides us. And these are the CSS code. These are the classes or the style sheet that PEGA provides us. And we can reuse them. We can copy some codes from here. And we can write our own. This is the application rule alias which we are using to log in. This is the one. If you want to change, we can change it from here. Then advanced. We have some production rules set. We will not touch this one. This will be a part of our SSA. CSS basically. Development branches. This field also won't touch because this is going to be part of CSS. Now we will come to the application rule sets. Always, PEGA will create one normal application rule set and one integration application rule set. Same way. One organization normal rule set. One organization integration rule set. Let's take example of Java. In Java, suppose I am writing a code, right? I am writing loops and all. What we call that coding? We call that a source code, right? When we complete a module, suppose I am building functionality. Once my code is completed, I am saying my source code is complete. And somewhere that source code is saved. Correct. Inka. Source code. We call it as rules. And the place where we are saving that source code, we call it as a rule set. For example, I will again take this skin rule. I will go to additional styles. This is arts. Cosmos skin. Let's suppose this is the source code. All this is the code. Where actually it is stored. It is stored inside this rule set. T. And suppose club, all these things, all these CSS files are saved inside the same rule set. This one. It is very easy for me to export because I can simply export this rule set. This is the rule set. Let's say in this rule set, we have 4 versions. These are the rules. Suppose inside the zone, you have created 765 source code. I have created 986 source code. Now I can package this whole rule set and move it to the higher environments. Decide the rule set and deciding the right class. That is the main objective here. That is today's agenda. Exactly that. Because we know what rule set is. That it will hold the rules. We know what rule is. Rule is a source code. The main fact is we have to decide the right rule set. Where actually we have to say the right class, which we have to select, right? That is the point. Where we have to focus still. This definition wise, we are good. Second tab is case and data. Currently, case type is not created. Nothing is coming. And I don't want to confuse you more on this part because I will come back on this once we start a case creation. Application wizard. Basically, if you want to create new application directly within the application, that we can use this thing. Because currently, I went to this live care, created new application like this, right? But if you want to create another application within the application, then you can get it from here. Then documentation purpose. We are using these things. These are not required. Then for integration, we have this separate tab. For example, if there is Agile Workbench, this is the PEGA provided. Completely like Jira. Like Jira is not for PEGA. PEGA has their own thing, like PEGA Agile Studio and PEGA Agile Workbench. We can directly link it, that you don't have to go back to Jira to write the stories. Within the PEGA, within the development itself, you can write the stories. And these are not much useful here because integration, we have a separate security. In security, we lock the application that no one can change it. But if this is open source, then any developer can go to anywhere and they can update the version. They can delete anything. We have to keep the application secure by adding the password. And what are the authentication services required? To access the application, content policies. If there is any policy the organization is following, that we can keep. You see the production level development. Currently, we are on the development environment. There are different environments we are having. In the future session, I used to call root. Product, what row? Because if you are not going to familiar with these terms, it will be very difficult, for us to relate what exactly we are talking about. Till now, we understood what is a rule set, what is a rule, what are the default application rules. Rules, source code, which is created when we create a new application. I will show you one thing. I will go to records. Organization. You see, care. Cares is created. You see, this is kind of instances, which everything you see is a rule, and always you will find it inside a rule set somewhere. For example, this organization is inside rules because PEGA created. Where exactly we have to save? Same way, we have created one division. This one. the main agenda. We have to find the right class and the right rule set because currently everything is created by PEGA. We are not creating anything from our side. Once we start creating things, we have to think a bit where exactly we have to paste that certain data like that. We already understand what rule is. Rule is a source code. What are the rule types? Rule type is like a category which will hold individual rules. For example, rules can be of user interface, right? We can have some decision rules, integration rules, reporting rules. Rules. You want to create a table. If you want to show fields, for example, you want to build a form like a Google form. We have the names. We can put address. We can put zip. We can put phone numbers. Whatever the UI thing, we have the UI elements that will comes under user interface, rule type, decision rules. For example, building a logic. Take example of, let's say, e-commerce, right? Because you can relate e-commerce much better. So when you are making very purchase, let's say you are purchasing something of $1 billion, in those exceptional approval is required. You can create a decision because automatically check the cost greater. Billy, approval, needed. Approval wherever the decision required. Separate this integration. It integration very type worked on survey. Reporting to whatever submitting builder read right because high stakeholder basically check re- reporting organization contain change and introduce employee change application change happen through security suggest password authentication profile configure authentication authentication. Because great application, definitely. Something detail. Exact detail. Application, definition, type, expand, work, application, definition, work, thing, decision, 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 things, un, decision. Then integration, suppose you want to create. PEGA supports these kind of integration. Rusty Connect Robot, Connect SAP, Connect So, Connect SQL Con HBase, Connect Cassandra, Connect CMS. And we can also create if there is anything which is missing. Now integration mapping we have. All these integration will come under the integration rule type. Organization, I explained to you right. If you want to change the calendar, if you want to check the division, if you want to introduce a new operator, if you want to update organization, the work group work queue will see later. This is organization. Process is category report is a category security. You can see these, what kind of security you can enhance. You have access control policy access, deny access group access when application ID authentication profiles. All these things will come under the security rule type. Sysadmin technical and user interface. Inside user interface, we have the control guided tours, harness, navigation, paragraph, portal, section and skin. These are the different rule type PEGA supports. And whatever the application we are going to build, we are going to use these rule types and these rule values only. Now we are going to create our first case type. What we are going to do? We are going to use this one. Let's say again, it's a business process. We can assume Life Care Insurance is an insurance company. And I want to submit my application in Life Care Insurance, right? Life Care Insurance Company has a process, certain process that they're maintaining for the enrollment. What that process is, we have a start after that. First, I'll fill out an application. Once I fill that application, I have to submit that application. Is my application eligible? No. If it is yes, then the credit check team will process that application. If it is not eligible, then they will say you are not eligible and they will notify me either email or through a text message and they will not enroll me. After the process, they will verify my credit history. Then they will check is my credit history satisfactory. If yes, then they will approve my application and give me an insurance ID. And otherwise, if my credit history is not good, then they will reject my application. If you see, we are taking decisions at two places. At this one, if I am eligible or not, right? When I'm saying I'm eligible or not, I'm saying on certain basis, right? Either my salary is not that I can enroll for this one, or there is something which is not going with respect to the organization policies which I'm not entering. They will reject me. This is the place where the decision rules will come into the picture. Here also, I'm just checking is credit history satisfactory. If it is true, then they will approve my application. Otherwise, they will reject it. The same thing. Now we will build in PEGA. Now suppose if I want to break this whole business process into small module. Can I say from start to submit application, I'm just collecting details. Because filling out application, submitting application is basically related to the details only. I can call it as collect details. Now this check, because whatever is happening in this area, I mean basically in this one, we are checking for that. User details basically, like we are verifying that person is eligible or not. I can call it as a credit check. Or if you want, you can renew it to anything. It's just we need a separate identifier. Now the third one. This is approval. Approval or rejection. Only one of these things will happen because either you will be approved or you will reject it. I divided this whole business process into three names. The first process is I will collect the user details. In second phase, I will do a credit check of the person. And in third phase, either I approve or I will reject. That's what the business process is. Now we are going to build the same thing in PEGA. Case type is nothing but a journey that will start from one phase and will end at another. That's why it is showing case type and we call it as a case life cycle. Life cycle means it is starting from one point and ending at the last point. That is what a life cycle means. Let's say I'll get one case type. It is starting. I'll keep this name as insurance. I'll submit. It is like the same thing. First, we create a project in Android Studio or anywhere. That is an empty project. Inside the empty project, we can add as many functionalities as we want. For now, we created an application LifeCare. But inside LifeCare, because LifeCare is nothing but an organization. Inside that organization, we can build anything. We can build insurance. We can build an HR department application. We can create a timesheet approval. You know, timesheet entering, leave, apply functionality, anything. For now, we are just going to focus on the insurance. The best thing about PEGA is that if anybody created a project, PEGA will create at least some of the rules for you. There won't be any scratch item. You see, when I created this one, I got this screen. This is the case life cycle. You see, life cycle is there and case life cycle. Now what I'm going to do? Before I go further, I want to introduce three more names to you, the PEGA terms. That is yes. I want to introduce these three things to you. Stages, processes and steps. This we call as a stage. Even you see here plus stage. I can add as many stages I want. Right. Now you see the below box. It's a process. And inside process, we can add steps. If we can check this one, create is a stage. Create is a process and create is a step. Correct. Now, if I come back to my flow, once I categorize or I divided this whole business process to these 3 stages, because if I can say if I collected the details, the check is done and approval is done. That means my business process is completed. Right. In it, and a person is flowing basically through these 3 stages. I'll enter these things. Collect detail is the first stage. Grade check is second stage and approval is the third stage. I'll give collect detail. Collect details on first stage. Second one is product check. And third one is approval. Now stages were completed. Now we have to decide the process exactly. Inside, collect details. Suppose you have to capture different type of details, right? Suppose I'll give enter. Enter personal details. Then what a step is, suppose if I give like enter details. Inside the collect details, I'm only giving enter details. Now, first step is what kind of details? That's the personal details. Second step. Let's say I'll add just anything. Maybe like educational details. Right. This is a step. Basically, if you see, I completed this particular stage. I'll tell you one scenario. Suppose this approval right. Suppose I created a $1 billion case and it went to the approval. Suppose it went to you, but suppose you're on leave. Correct. That means you are not going to approve it. At that time, what we can do? We can create some multiple process at the same time. And that same approval will be routed to 3 people at the same time. And whoever is available, they can approve. And if any one of them will approve, the case will be completed. It's not like we are waiting for anyone to approve it. It's like whoever is available, they have the priority. They can approve it. This is like we can do. Now this is, you can say this is the structure that we are building. After the structure is done, then we will go inside this and we will add the things. Because when we are talking about personal details, like what personal detail exactly is, it is like your name, your date of birth, your address, those things also we have to embed, right? We can create somewhere, then only we can set the personal details. It's just for now, I'm just adding just a label. I'm adding right. Similarly, let's do a credit check. I'll rename this. Cloud is always low. You see, when I click on step, PGA support various types of step. I mean, is it a collect information step, approval reject step, multi-step form, but I'll go with collect information only. Even if you want custom, we can create, but as I'm saying, PGA is a low code, right? PGA will give you template for everything. You can extend it as per your requirement, but a paste template is always be there. Verify detail. In credit check, we will verify the details. And then in approval, we will do approve or reject. Approve insurance. Or I will delete this one from here. Education is not required for this one. We just want to keep it simple. And you see this approval rejection is there. This is why, because in approval definitely there are two choices. One is approve and one is reject. If I approve, I can say my case is completed right. That means completed as in resolved completed. That means the case is resolved with a completion. But suppose if it is rejected, then what will happen? Then business had to plan something right. Either they will send an email or they want some missing detail. Like the person can again read that the documents and then update the information. For that we have this approval rejection different stage. Or we call it as an alternate stage. You see here, alternate stage is not coming because this is primary path. When you create a case, it will flow through, collect details, read, check and approval. But at this approval insurance, if you are rejected and it's not a primary flow right, you are rejecting it from a step. Then you will jump onto this path because you are rejected. If you want to add anything, for example, I will add an email. I want to send an email that you are rejected. I will to automation. Again, terms are new for you. That's fine. You will be habitual to them later point of time. Send email. Rejection email. Rejection email. Rejection email. This will also rename. Rejected email. Rejection email. I will save it once. You now can see our flow is complete. Correct? To collect details. We are starting application, we fill the application and we will submit it. We are collecting details. Personal details will capture everything. Now in the second credit, check what we will do. Is the application eligible? Yes, this part we will add. Is the check available? More process? No. This we have to add inside the process. Any. Now I am going to open this process one by one and I will show you when we add anything here what PEGA will do. Suppose I added this enter details. This icon you see here, it says configure process. That means if you want to modify this thing or whatever will come on this. For that change, you have to go to this process. This is the flow diagram that PEGA will create for us. There always be a start shape. There always be an end shape. And whatever you add in between, that will come. This we call it as a process. This is the process. And this one is a step. Because if I go back and show you, you see enter detail is a process, right? And personal detail is a step. If I go back again, you can see inside that stage we have a process. That means this is a process which contains start, shape, assignment and shape. And assignment is nothing but our step. We can either call it as a step or we can call it as an assignment. Because this is a kind of a thing where manual intervention is needed, right? We have to assign this to someone because end user need to sit and fill this form. That's why it's an assignment. Same way, if I want to see the backend configuration for the credit check, I can open this process. It says start shape, end shape verify. But suppose I want to include a check here. Credit check right. I can go to this. I can click, right click. I can add a decision. Because it's not like I am always going to complete the check. I need some certain condition. Let me open the process. Then only I can update it. Now I will add one decision ships. I'll open the ship. I'll name this one as credit check completed and question mark. Because I don't know whether it is yes or whether it is no. Now this one I'll point to here. This I'll take back. I'll take it here. Suppose this is 2 arms now. When I say if your credit check is completed, let's say if credit check is completed, I'll give this. It is passed. Then I will end this. And I will go to the next stage. This basically means this particular stage is completed. And this one is failed. Suppose if the case is failed, I need something right. I need something to do when it is failed. What I can do is what we can do. We can move it to the previous stage. Or we can again move it to here, verify details. Or we can do a change stage. Let's do automations. Change to a stage. These are the complex shapes. I'm just adding to show you how to basically play with this one. Hit it check. How do you know what are the different shapes available on all those things? You will anyways learn once you start exploring these things. If you see, whatever these options are coming, this is the out of the box. These are the things which you can directly start using and implementing. Suppose you want to create a PDF, right? You can use this thing. This one, you can use this one. But suppose you want to enhance that PDF, right? Because PEGA will create a PDF of a certain type. But suppose if you want more data, more detail, different type, you can enhance it. If you want to send an email, you can use this shape. If you want to sign a document, you can use this one. If you see these automations, all these are in yellow color, right? and these have a separate function. For example, this is to update a case. This is to sign. This is to, for example, send email, generate document. This is a Word document. Basically, generate document is a Word document. Doesn't have any name. That means it can be customized to any extent. It is like a fresh, it is like a fresh paper. You can write any kind of code. Source code would be Java, but you are not going to do that Java code. That was rigorously. PEGA will do that Java code in the backend. We have to use certain terminology, certain methods. Java code will be done by PEGA itself. For example, when I'm adding this verify details, right? I'm not doing any code. Correct. But in the backend, PEGA is doing that code for us. That also we'll see. Like when you're adding anything, PEGA at the same time is doing that code and saving it. This one is done. I'll close this. I'll go back to this stages and steps. You see, I added in the process. The decision is coming here by default because I added in the process. Check. You can say this is our small flow which is prepared where you can enter some personal detail. We'll verify your detail. Some credit check functionality will be there. After that, it will go to approval. And then, if it is approved, we can say it is completed. We can say resolve the case. And if it is rejected, then it will go to this rejection email. Now we are good. Record is stale. We have to save once. Fresh. Then I think that's it for today. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.